Welcome back to let'simage.com. Today I'm going to show you how I use Photoshop to transform this image into this image. Alright guys, let's jump right into Photoshop. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to get rid of the dog. So as always, I'm going to start with copying the background layer by hitting Command and J, which is just going to create the same layer again. I'm going to zoom in, and because we have a quite uniform background, I'm just going to press J to get my what's it called? The spot healing brush tool. I'm just going to get rid of that cute little fella right here. Bam. And you see, because the background is so uniform, it's doing just a tremendous job. If you're not completely happy, just go to your clone stamp tool right here, hit Alt to select the source like this one, and just fix up some, little bits and pieces right there. All right, I mean, nobody will ever see that. Okay, so now that we have done that, the next thing is, well, theoretically, just get rid of all the color because it's a black and white image. When I originally worked on that image, I spent maybe an hour or something to try to get a nice version with color. It didn't really work. So let's just do that. Let's get rid of all the saturation. Saturation completely down. There we go. That is that. And now what we have to do, we have to work on the ground here. Okay, so I want these bright patches in the water, which reflect the light, to be really, really bright, whereas the darks, like in the nice shadows in the ripples down here, I want them to be really dominant. So the way to do that is go to levels. Okay, levels is right here. So I'm going to click on levels, and we're going to work with these funny sliders here. So let's bring up the brights, bring down the darks, and just shift the whole thing maybe like that, and bring these even a bit more. Alright, do something like that. Okay, let's zoom in and check if we're happy with that. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think we can live with that. Even a bit more. Do something like this. Alright? You can obviously choose whatever you like. So that's at least kind of the way I did. Okay? Now we can see we have completely blown away the sky, so we don't like that very much. So let's close that. And we're going to group these two. No, we don't. Sorry. We're just going to press Command and I, which is going to invert that layer we have just created. We're going to press B for our brush. I'm going to press D for default, just so we have the white and black here. And I want to paint with black. With white actually on that layer mask. I'm going to go for an opacity of 60-70%, something like that. I'm just going to start to paint in that effect. For whatever reason, my computer today decides to be a bit slow, which is no problem. Just going to wait a bit. Alright, and a bit more here. Okay, and a bit more there. There you go. Okay. Alright, so that's the first step, to get at least the ground in a kind of a nice shape. Haha, funny how things go, and Photoshop just decided to, break down, die, completely gone, everything gone. No problem, let's just do it again. So I was talking about the sky, and before we do anything to the sky, we actually have to add the lighting effect, which means I want a direct light source coming from where the circle is right now, alright? And then we have a nice little shadow coming from the person, so let's do that. I have a new layer, so what I did actually after our adjustment, I just hit Command, Alt, Shift, and E to do a so-called stamp visible, which is just going to copy everything we can see right now onto a new layer. And we're going to go to Filter, and we're going to go to Render, and then Lighting Effects. Okay, and here we have our neat light effect. Excuse me. So, and we can basically just drag and drop this thing around. I'm going to put it nice in the center somewhere here. All right. And we can also play with the intensity of that thingy doodly, basically. So here on the side, we have all the, kind of controls we actually need. So you can play with the ambience. Let's make it a little bit darker, maybe. Actually, let's don't. Let's put it up. Why not do something like that? That actually looks kind of neat. All right, good. And once we're happy with it, we're just going to hit Enter. Or we're just going to press OK, apparently. There you go. All right, so I like that one. So what happened now is that obviously not all the light is in the back. The front looks a little bit dark, but we can take care of that a little bit later. So for now, let's concentrate on the sky and add some more detail to it. Alright, so because of these lights, the sky is a bit blown out now, but we can easily change this. So we're just going to use a curve adjustment layer and bring down everything. Bring it down to something like that. Oh yeah, good. Maybe the lights tiny bit up. Maybe, yeah, why not do something like this? And also we're going to go to contrast, and we're going to increase that contrast. So I want the darkness in that sky. And with darkness, I mean the pure evil grabbing around this light source, basically. Okay, so now that's that. I know it looks horrible to the ground. Just completely ignore that ground. So what we're going to do next is I want this part of the clouds, and I want it to come from this direction as well, and also from this direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer by clicking the little tiny symbol down here. And I'm going to go to my clone stamp tool, which is here. It's actually S is the shortcut, all right? And you notice I don't use my tablet today because it is super far away, and I actually gave it to a friend of mine who wanted to learn some Photoshop and who wanted to get familiar with a tablet with a pressure-sensitive pen. There you go. However, on that new layer, I'm going to basically copy that part of the clouds. I'm going to hit Alt, and I just want that. Give it to me, with a little bit of a surrounding stuff and things, something like that. All right, and then I can press V for, let's move that. Maybe V is for vector. Vector with a magnitude and a direction. However, I have no idea. So let's turn it around, do something like that. So, and let's place it up here. Maybe somewhere here. Okay, and then I'm going to hit Enter and press Command and J, which is going to just duplicate that thing basically. And I'm going to turn it around again, do something like that. And actually in this case, I think I want to mirror it. So with mirroring, I'm just going to turn it around, do something like that. And place it somewhere here. Yeah, I guess here's not bad. I'm going to hit Enter. And I'm going to create a layer mask because I don't like the contrast between these two bits and pieces there. I'm going to hit B for my brush. And I'm just with a opacity, with a very low opacity, it's clouds, let's say 20%. I'm just going to get rid of some of the, of course I can't paint with white, so I'm just going to press X so that I actually paint with the color I need. Good Lord, I want my tablet back. All right, there you go. Oh, we don't like that very much, it looks fake. All right, well, easy fix, let's just go back, and back. And let's click on that one, click V, and let's just make that a bit bigger. Do something like that, and move it up a little bit as well. Let's just hide that thing. Now we're going to use the smudge tool, so it's going to be, all kind of moved up and weird anyway. So no worries if it doesn't look perfect just yet. All right, let's hit Enter right there. And I'm just going to demonstrate that smudge tool because my computer does not like it at all. Like he's crashing wherever. Okay, there you go. So the smudge tool you will find just here. Okay, it's called the smudge tool. So you click on that, and I'm going to start on, let's say, the top one. Okay, so that's this one down here. All right, so let's work on that one first. So what you do is, at least in my case, I'm going to go with a strength of, say, 30%. I'm just going to go from somewhere here and move it down to the middle. Okay, so I started to press here and I moved it down to the middle. And what that will do is like, drawing with charcoal, and then just put your finger and move it through it. Okay, that's exactly what it will do. As I said, it takes a while on my computer and you have to do it multiple times. So I guess I'll just wait until this one is finished, and then I'm going to bring it back once I have done it for, all these 3 cloud pieces basically. All right, be right back. And we're back. Okay, so now I did a little bit of work in the sky. I didn't take too much time, I just smudged it a little bit, made them a little bit smaller as well, but just shifting them up or down. And obviously you can spend a lot more time with that, but I just don't want to. No, I just want to show you what I did. So, all right, so now the sky is not too bad. What I want to do is I want to have actually some more contrast in that as well. So let's just go to a contrast adjustment layer and increase the contrast a little bit. Why do I want that? I'll show you in a second. I'm going to hit Command and I to invert that. I'm going to hit B to get my brush, make it nice and large. Now I'm going to paint with white because the layer is black, and with an opacity of, well, maybe a bit more, something like 35%. I just want to get in the darker edges we had here. All right. So that is the sole reason. Nope, not that one. So, okay. There we go. Okay. Goodie. Okay, so now we can't see the ground. That's a bad point. So if we go back in time, like, no, we can't see it, can't see it, can't see it, can't see it, can't see it. Okay, so that's not too bad. So we're gonna group everything from this layer basically, all right, upwards, We're just selecting those and then hitting Command-N-G. And I'm going to apply a layer mask by hitting the layer mask symbol down here and I press B. And what I want to do is I want to get the ground back. All right. So, well, let's try it this way. Let's see what happens. So let's paint with black with a opacity, which is a lot higher, 80 whatever odd percent. And as I said, my computer has some trouble doing that. We just have to be patient. All right, there we go. Okay. And the ground's back. Hello, missed you. Now let's get the other 15%. Yes, a lot of calculation involved apparently. All right, there you go. Good, like that. Now what we need is the shadow. Okay, the sort of shadow is completely missing yet. That is a little bit more difficult, but I will try my best. So what we do is we're going to create a new layer, and I actually have to look up where I have seen that. I think I've seen it on YouTube a couple of years back at some point. So there are many different ways to creating a shadow. So you can use a pen tool to select that person out, which I'm a bit lazy to do now, because pen tool takes a little bit more time than other methods. So what we will do is we're going to use our brush tool actually, and our clone stamp. Okay, yes, our clone stamp. All right, so there we go. So we have the clone stamp activated, and clone stamp has to be a little smaller. And on that new layer, with saying that he has to sample from all layers, we are just going to make a quick copy of that person. There we go, like that. Make it a bit smaller and zoom in even more. All right, let's get the head. And a bit of that, and a bit of this. Okay. And let's go to the legs. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. And that shoe. Alright, and let's get that hand and that, this and such, and blah blah blah. Okay. And you can obviously take your time with that. If you use the pen tool, if you like the pen tool, go ahead. I did it with the pen tool and the real image, but it would just take a bit longer. So there we are. That should do the trick. If we're not 100% sure, let's hit V and see. Yeah, that's not bad. We more or less copied that person out of there. And that's how you get unexpected visitors in the middle of a video. All right, there you go. So I'll just recreate the thing quickly because I by mistake deleted it before. Never mind. So now that is our very bad kind of version of the shadow. Okay, so what we want to do now is we're just going to hit B for our brush tool, make the brush a little bit bigger, hit D, make sure it's black, and just going to fill in these. Oops, that was a bit too white. Fill in these blanks. You see, it's looking horrible. Like that's if there would be a person, that poor person. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes you have an ugly shadow. No, it's not a big deal at all. And I'm going to show you why later. God, I made him like the biggest tip ever. Well, this person, by the way, is my housemate. And we're just here in Ireland on the so-called Sandy Mount Beach. So great thanks to Mr. Ángel Cordero Vicente for being my model and by just walking on the beach. It's great. Okay. So it's a bit, I guess we could try, maybe let's get that like a bit more normal shape to something like that. And press V, that should actually do the trick. Okay, but it's just for demonstration purposes anyway, and we can always change it. Now, what you want to do is you're going to want to turn that thing around. All right, let's zoom out again and zoom even further out and decide how long you want to have it. I mean, obviously you can have it like that, but that's going to look a bit weird. Let's do something like this maybe. All right. Okay, and then we have to make sure that the beginning of the shadow is actually somewhere on that person. Otherwise, it just, nobody will believe it. And to do that, excuse me, an easy way is just to get your eraser, apply the transformation indeed, and then get your eraser, and with an opacity of 20% or something, just get rid of the shadow down here. All right, something like that. Okay. Now, obviously, the shadow looks completely unrealistic for two reasons, really. So what we want to do first, maybe, is we want to go to where was it, exposure, and bring down the exposure, but not everywhere, just on the shadow. All right. So if you have a look at that, now the white edge you can see around that shadow has just disappeared. Right. He also got a little bit bigger hips, but we can always take care of that later. Okay. So let's leave that on. Okay, so the idea now is that the shadow looks quite unrealistic because you have a pattern on the ground, but you do not have a pattern on the shadow, right? And it's obviously far too visible as well. So there is a way on how to create or how to make the shadow flow with the pattern of the ground. And the way to do that is to go back in time. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So you go back, go back, go back, go back to maybe something like here, all right? Once you have that, and I'm just going to show you quickly, okay, I will increase my brightness. I'm going to create a curve adjustment layer right here, increase my brightness, and by doing so, I'm going to define the blacks a little bit more, like the really dark parts here, okay? And this, as it is right now, I will save as a Photoshop file somewhere on my computer, okay? So I have already done that. So what I will do is I'm going to delete that curves layer again, because we don't really need it. And make the shadow back. And I have done, oh, wrong folder, I have done exactly that just down here. It's called Shadow Ripple PSD. And yeah, so that's how it has to look like. Okay, I even still have the dog in there, so you know, dirt on my sensors and whatever. So it doesn't matter. You can do it at the beginning, at the end. You just have to be able to see the dark areas and the bright areas. All right. Okay. So once you have that PSD file somewhere on your computer, what you want to do is you want to select the layer with your shadow on, and then you want to go to Filter, and now I have to find that thing. Oh yeah, you go to Distort and to Displace. Okay. And if it's 1010, it's fine, just hit OK. And it's going to ask you for a PSD file. Interesting, right? So you find the PSD file you have just saved. In my case, it's a shadow ripple thing. You hit Open, and what it will do, it will try to make that shadow fit onto these, onto the ground pattern, basically. Okay? So it still doesn't look too good with it, no problem at all. Because first of all, we want to reduce our opacity. Okay, so it doesn't have to be like that crazy hard of a shadow, because there is surrounding light, like it's there. And then we can always go to Filter and Blur and give it a nice little Gaussian blur. Right? That's obviously a little bit too much. Let's bring it down to, I don't know, maybe something like that. Okay. And obviously, the more careful you are with the selection at the beginning, it may look a little bit better. So now his arms are a bit short. All right, maybe I could have given a little bit more effort into that, but you get the general idea of how to create that shadow, okay? So, and you can have it more or less visible, that's completely up to you. You can even still change things right now if you wanted to, so you could use your brush tool and, refine some of the shapes and this kind of things, but I'm just not going to do that right now because you get obviously the idea of how the thing works, all right? So now you have that shadow, we have that interesting kind of sky. What I'm not super happy with yet is a foreground here. So compared to the real image, which let me just make a quick look at it. Yes, so we had a lot more, light basically in here. All right, and the shadow looks a bit better as well. Okay, so let's go back here and let's go back to our levels. Levels is always good. But before we do that, I'm gonna just hit Command-Alt-Shift+E, which is gonna do a stamp visible, and let's go to levels. And let's play another time once more with that thingy-doodly here, okay? So let's get that, and I don't know, something like even a bit brighter, and maybe something like that. Okay, I don't want that everywhere, so I'm going to hit Command and I to invert that. And let's get my brush back, and I will need it big, okay? And opacity, let's put it to somewhere like, whatever, 38%. Okay, I should obviously paint with white, otherwise it doesn't make much sense. Okay, there we go. Okay, in the original image I used channels. I don't know if you ever have used channels. Channels, like here's layers, here's channels, and using these things you can actually do selections as well, which allows you to select highs or darks, very kind of very good precisely actually. But that's kind of an easy way to just highlight that kind of area right here. Okay, so once we have done that and we're kind of happy with this, the last step I would say is necessary to understand what I have done here is to sharpen the whole thing, all right? And an easy way to do is by just doing another stamp visible and then go to, what do? We do a high pass sharpening, I guess. So let's go to high pass, and 1.5 pixels should do the trick for now. We go to normal, we go to soft light, And now we have that layer. I'm just going to press Command and J to duplicate that layer until I feel comfortable that it is sharp enough. And that should already be very much sharp enough. All right, so there you go. And then you can group these things together by holding Shift from one to the other, and then hit Command and G. You can group them, and now you can see, I hope you can see it on the video, I'm not 100% sure, but it is way sharper, right? Problem, of course, if you deal with sharpness, first of all, we have noise up here, and if I make it sharper, that noise is going to become stronger, but that's no biggie. We can get rid of that in just a second. Okay, so that's the sharpening of the ground. We don't want it in the sky. First of all, let's put a layer mask. Bam. I go to our brush, press X to paint with black, and just take that sharpness back out of the clouds, because we don't need it. Like, why would they be sharp? They're clouds, right? Makes sense. Oh, maybe I should increase my opacity to actually suit the task to about 100. 100 makes sense. And my computer has some issues today. It is incredible. All right, there you go. So now we have at least taken out that sharpness a bit, right? What we want to do now is noise reduction, and again, several ways to do it. So I'm going to just hit Command-Alt-Shift+E to do another stamp visible. I love stamp visibles. Obviously, they have a negative part because you can't go really back. However, at least at the end, it doesn't matter too much. I can just brush through. We go to Camera Raw Filter. There are many ways to do noise reduction. That's just one of the quicker ones. Zoom into the area where we have the feeling we have to reduce some noise, like here. I'm just going to click that should actually do the trick for most of the areas, I guess. Yep. Maybe here a bit more. I'll just increase it. Oh, I see. Okay. There we go. And once we're happy, we're just going to hit OK. Bam. Okay, so if you want to reduce the strength of that noise reduction, we can always apply another layer mask and layer through certain positions or certain places more than others. I don't feel like doing it, but what we have to do at least is getting the sharpness back in the ground, because noise reduction in the ground may inevitably lead to some detail loss. I love my detail in the ground. That's just the way I roll. Okay, all right, guys. Yeah, that is it. Like that's how you get from a very simple kind of quick shot lay uncle let's walk in that let's walk in that direction please for a minute, to a really cool artistic image which looks like the War of the Worlds poster with this famous actor with, I can't remember his name. It's incredible. Never mind. And the name of the person I was thinking on is Tom Cruise. War of the Worlds. Ever seen? No, Tom Cruise. Okay. Well, never mind. Thanks for watching this tutorial, or this processing example rather. If you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask. Like if I can help, I'm gonna do it. And otherwise, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Let's Image. And I hope I'll see you in the next processing example / tutorial / me trying to recreate my own steps, which just works in about 30% of the cases. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you the next time. Bye.